Hi, this is Doc Progeny. Today I'm going to be showing you a little information about security settings in Progeny, how you can make users read-only users, for example, and also how you can restrict the view that people have of different data within Progeny. So I'm logged into Progeny 10. I am logged in as a Progeny administrator, so the Progeny ID, and I'm going to click first on the User Maintenance tab under Administration up here. This will give you a list of all the users in the system. And today I'm going to concentrate on this path 1 user here. You'll see here I've got 4 user classes. This user here is a member of the pathology class. When you create a new class, select one here, it'll give you a list of things that particular individual can do. So for example here they can do form design, spreadsheets, they can see fields, samples, pedigrees and individuals, but they miss out on some of the other things that Progeny has. So as you click through the options on the tabs here, you'll see that this user is using class-based options, which means that you simply have to check it and you don't have to re-enter it every time. The client interface is the full Progeny client. I'm going to talk in another video soon about the dashboard client, and you can also preset the formats for things like the individual data sheet, sample data sheet, and so forth. For those of you ordering genetic tests, there's also the Ambry IDs tab, and you'll know what that is if you're using that. So that's where we're going to set up security. I've done that. I've got this pathology user that I'm going to use. So where do you apply those security settings? Well, there's several ways. Let's start off with this cancer pedigrees. I could, pedigree by pedigree, simply go in after right-clicking on the pedigree and select Edit Pedigree Security. You can see here that all users can read and write this pedigree, but if I only wanted to make it available to, say, clinical users, I could have to check the read and write access for those users. But I have to be careful. I must uncheck the all users options. If you don't, irrespective of anything you put anywhere else, users are going to be able to read and write that pedigree. So in this case, I'm making the pathology group 1 a read-only group. So I can change that. But as you can imagine, you've got a lot of pedigrees in your folder. It's probably quite a hassle to do that. So what you can do is simply go to the folder level and say, actually, I want to allow the settings here to override pedigrees. And there's this little checkbox here that you can see, override pedigree level security. Simply check that. In this case, you'll see that all users is unchecked, and the only group actually who can see this is test. That's interesting because I'm going to log in a little while with that path 1 user, and you'll see that this cancer pedigrees folder doesn't even show for that individual. So I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to talk about the other places you can do this. You can also do this within samples. You can do this for individuals, but probably equally as important is down at the folder level for the data folders for fields. So if you look here, I've got a number of folders here, each with a number of fields in them. Now I can, again, like the pedigrees, go in and click field level security, and I can say, well, actually I want the clinical users only to be able to see this. The pathology user class can read this data in this field, but they can't modify it. But again, as you can imagine, potentially an awful lot of fields in Progeny. A lot of people will move those fields that they want access controlled on into a specific folder. Then they'll go right click onto the folder of interest, edit folder security, and you'll see here, for example, I've already set the ages folder such that the clinical user can work fully with this data, but the pathology users can only read it. Okay, so that kind of gives you a good overview. You can do the same thing with fields for the pedigree level and sample level and marker level as well. Okay, so I'm going to log out of Progeny and I'm going to re-log in, but this time instead of going in as the administrator, I'm only going to go in as this path 1 user. So I've logged in. The first thing you notice, that cancer pedigree folder has disappeared. So if I go and look at another pedigree, for example, the cardiac example, I can click on the proband here just to run to their data sheet. And you'll see that their date of birth and everything is showing as you'd expect, and the ages are all grayed out. So this is kind of what you'd expect If I go back one more time to the folder here for ages, so you can see current age numeric is there, year of birth. So these fields I removed the possibility to edit. So let's go make sure that's the case. So I'll just simply select an individual, and this time I'll go to form design. I'll go to that particular folder for ages, and I'll drop in current age, numeric, and year of birth, for example. And as you'd expect, I can view these because I gave read access, but they're grayed out, so I can't enter any data. So that gives you a very short, brief overview of security settings within Progeny. As I mentioned, I'm also going to show the dashboard view of Progeny in another video soon. But if you've got any questions you'd like me to cover in these videos, let me know, and I'm happy to go over them. Okay, bye for now.